It is time to geek out to some weather. Good evening, everyone. It's Monday evening, and this is Weather for Weather Geeks on January the 8th, 2018. No shortage of things to talk about yet again. We're in the middle of the heart of winter, and it's a stormy pattern. It's a very unsettled and topsy-turvy pattern we're getting into over the next couple of weeks. So we've got a lot to get to, so let's not waste any time and get right to it. First of all, some stats here through the first 7 days, the first week of January. It was the coldest opening to January on record. The first 7 days, extremely cold. And of course, this pattern really locked in just after Christmas time. We had highs in the single digits and teens most of last week. Got up to 27 yesterday. And finally, we broke freezing this afternoon at 34 degrees. A balmy afternoon, relatively speaking. First time we broke freezing since right around Christmas time, before this pattern really locked in. So, remarkable string of very cold weather coming to an end today. All right, time-lapse video. Of course, the roads were indeed treacherous this morning, especially around daybreak. You know, this went pretty much as planned. We had a little glaze of freezing rain and sleet, followed by a couple or a few inches of snow, and this led to all sorts of problems on the roads for a few hours this morning. Notice things clearing out here on 422 by about midday as temperatures tried to rise above freezing, and our snow tapered and gave way to just some spotty drizzle for a lot of the afternoon today. With this drizzle trying to continue tonight, not much more than mist right now, but some legitimate drizzle could try to reappear tonight, and that could be problematic as we go through the night tonight and into tomorrow morning. But before we get to that, a quick review of the snow totals. Didn't get a lot of National Weather Service official reports from our viewing area here, but did see one Newcastle, 4.5 inches worth of snow. Pretty high amount there. Grove City, 2 inches. That seems a little low, but general 2 to 4, 1 to 3, 2 to 4 was pretty common throughout the region this morning. I measured pretty close to 2 inches at my house in Boardman. All right, when I recorded Weather Geeks this evening at 7:30, the radar's quiet. It's trying to mist or drizzle real lightly. Now, temperatures are still pretty close to or above freezing, but that's going to change as we go through the night tonight. And one thing we have to be concerned about tonight is not only the possibility of drizzle continuing with temperatures dropping below freezing, but, you know, we got above freezing today and meltwater is sitting around, puddles are sitting around, and as we drop into the 20s, parking lots and sidewalks especially can get really tricky overnight tonight into tomorrow morning. We throw a little freezing drizzle on top of that, and yeah, that could be problematic for tomorrow morning. Real quickly, before we get to the forecast, I did want to show you that the National Weather Service in Pittsburgh does have a winter weather advisory. Let me plot that up real quick here. Weather Service in Pittsburgh issued a winter weather advisory for tonight into tomorrow morning for the possibility of some freezing drizzle. I've gotten some questions on Facebook. Why are Trumbull and Mahoning not included in this? And the reason is these counties are covered by the Cleveland National Weather Service office. Our viewing area is split between the Cleveland and Pittsburgh offices. The Pittsburgh office is elected to issue that winter weather advisory. Cleveland elected not to. Just a, difference of opinion between the two offices. It happens sometimes. But that's why a few of our counties have the advisory, a few do not. Don't get too caught up in advisories. We of course, put a lot of stock in tornado warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings, and that sort of thing, but too much attention is paid towards, what's the difference between a winter storm watch and a winter weather advisory and stuff like that. Focus on the impacts and the actual forecast. And our actual forecast is the same for the entire viewing area tonight. Whether you're under a winter weather advisory or not, the forecast is the same. All right, so tomorrow starts cloudy, possibility of some patches of freezing drizzle tomorrow morning. I am optimistic we'll see at least a little bit of sunshine as we get into the afternoon tomorrow. Maybe a struggle for a while, but we should see the sky brighten tomorrow afternoon, allowing temperatures to get above freezing. And, well, then finally, a nice thaw for a couple of days. Wednesday starts okay, but I think it can rain a little bit, maybe a little drizzle for the afternoon, but that's not going to stop temperatures from rising into the mid-40s by the end of the day Wednesday, and that's just an appetizer. Thursday, spring fever, upper 50s, Thursday afternoon, and I don't think it rains much at all on Thursday. What a day at the car washes on Thursday, because we're largely dry, temperatures upper 50s before the afternoon is through. But changes are coming. This next front is going to really hit the brakes. A wave of low pressure is going to form along it, and this is going to be very problematic for us as we head into Friday and the weekend. I want to spend a lot of time talking about this because this could be very impactful for our region late this week. We've got this little freezing drizzle concern for tonight. We don't want to forget about that, but big impact potential storm here for the end of the weekend and into the start of the weekend. The playing field looks like this on Thursday night into Friday. You've got a front stalling. Let me actually get my other telestrator here that you can see a little bit better. You got a front stalling. You've got an Arctic air mass under high pressure building in from the north and west. And very cold air coming south and east, getting set to undercut all this moisture. And that's a recipe for pretty widespread precipitation Thursday night into Friday. Now, this is going to be in the liquid form for a lot of Thursday night, Friday morning. We'll be warm enough for that. In fact, Friday morning could start with temperatures in the mid-40s. But then, potential for some problems as we get into midday and afternoon on Friday. I think the cold air is going to try to win the battle here and undercut this moisture, and temperatures will start falling. Could be a real backwards day on Friday where we're in the mid-40s in the morning and then maybe close to upper 20s by the end of the afternoon. So it could be a real backwards day on Friday, changing our liquid precipitation over to at least a mix. This is the European model I'm showing you here, showing we're kind of right in the battle zone. Friday afternoon, Friday evening. Rain could easily change over to sleet, freezing rain, maybe some wet snow. Eventually, it probably becomes all snow, but it might take until later Friday night. Not sure on the timing of that just yet. And when we do see that change over to all snow, it could be heavy for a time, and it could be really windy, and temperatures will keep falling on Saturday. Now, I'm kind of broad brushing this right now. It's only Monday, and there's a lot of details still to be worked out in any winter storm 5 days out, 4 or 5 days out. There's a lot of details we don't know. But speaking in generalities, Friday could be a real backwards day with rain mixing with and changing over to some mixed precipitation, and then we could see things ending as snow by Friday night and heading into the day on Saturday. So I want to show you a little bit of the modeling here. This far out, we don't put a lot of stock in what we call deterministic models. We like to look at ensembles, showing a range of solutions. And here's a look at the European placement of the storm Saturday morning. All the little L's on the map here are individual members of the European model, showing where the center of the storm might be. There's actually pretty decent agreement here. You know, there's a cluster of L's right here. That's a pretty good location for us to see some wintry precipitation Saturday morning, especially if it's a little farther south. If it gets far enough north, we might get into a dry slot and could get some warm air in here, that sort of thing. But, decent confidence here that Saturday morning could be really, really tricky with snow or mixed precipitation changing to snow. Pretty decent agreement on the European model there. As far as the odds of certain amounts of snow, we like to talk about odds this far out instead of getting into actual forecast numbers. We talk about the odds of amounts of precipitation. On the European modeling here, here's the odds of 1 inch or more worth of snow. This is through midday on Saturday. In this area right here, Northeast Ohio, Western PA, we're kind of in this yellow color here. That's 50 to 70%. Pretty decent odds of at least an inch. This far out, those are pretty decent odds. What about 3 inches? Same time frame here. Again, this far out, these are pretty decent odds. We're talking about odds of 3 inches or more, maybe 40 to 50%, something like that. And then finally, the odds of a big storm, 6 inches or more. And again, this far out, these odds are lower, of course, but we can't disregard them. This is 20 to 30%, so roughly, chances of a big 6-inch storm Friday night into Saturday. That's on the European modeling. The GFS has more snow than that because it brings in the colder air faster, changes things over to snow faster. And so right now the GFS is suggesting a very good chance of at least a half a foot worth of snow. So throwing some numbers out at you, throwing some model information out at you, but there's a lot we don't know, and a lot can change over the next 4 or 5 days. What I want you to take away from this video is if you have travel plans Friday and into Saturday, any point, especially Friday afternoon into Saturday, be prepared for a winter storm that could bring a variety of precipitation types, including the possibility of some impactful accumulating snow. In the longer range, yes, it's going to turn really cold. Here's our next cold air mass for the weekend and early next week. This is Sunday. Notice the cold anomalies right over us. We might stay in the teens for a couple of days, Sunday into Monday, with overnight temperatures perhaps dropping below zero. But this is not a cold air mass that's going to stick like the one that we've had for the last 2 weeks. This is going to come and go, and then here comes our much advertised big thaw end of next week. So this warm air mass, warm compared to average anyway, stays over us for at least a handful of days, end of next week, into the following weekend, and into the week after that. So what I think is going to happen here in the longer range is, yes, it's going to turn cold late in the weekend and early next week, but then for at least a handful of days, it's going to be warmer than average. Now, average in January is 32, so it can only be 40 and still be several degrees above average. We're not talking about 70s here. But 40 to 50 is a real bargain in the heart of winter. And that's what looks like we have in store for the longer range. More on that, more on everything else in future editions of Weather for Weather Geeks. In the meantime, hope you have a great Monday night. Check out my forecast tonight on 21 News at 11. I'll have an update on the possibility of that freezing drizzle overnight.